Welcome back. Now let's check in on the race for the White House for the Democratic contenders. Today is Super Tuesday 2. We're calling it after last week's Super Tuesday. There were 14 states up for grabs, just 6 today. But it's just as important. It's down to the two main contenders now, Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders. This is an extraordinary turn in the race. Now, Joe Biden is the absolute front runner today. It's up to Bernie Sanders to keep himself in the race. So what do you need to know for today? As just said, 6 states heading to the polls, 352 delegates up for grabs today. Again, not as significant as last Tuesday, but every one counts, especially now it is mainly a 2-horse race. Michigan matters. It's not just the narrative it's going to set, it's the fact it was one of those 4 states that swung towards Trump at the last election, delivering him the election result by just 2%. The other ones were, it was Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and also Florida. So this is absolutely key. These also have the big states ahead that are favouring Biden as well, and so this is going to be really key. When we look at the fact he was really dead in the water before South Carolina, now he's pulled ahead, it shows just how important it is. So look at where those delegates are coming from today. Michigan, you can see, has the lion's share, 125, 68 to Missouri, 36 in Mississippi, 14 in North Dakota, 20 in Idaho, and 89 in Washington. Now, it is going to be really important, a few of these states like Washington, where Bernie Sanders is really going to have to pull ahead just to keep his support going, but also a number of key issues. Look at these delegates where we're looking at where they're sitting now, 670 to Biden, 574 to Bernie Sanders. And so with those delegates, 352 up today, it really is anyone's race. If anyone can pull ahead, it will be Bernie Sanders, but he has a long way to go. Joe Biden certainly has the momentum behind him. So let's look at Michigan. As we said, 125 delegates. It was really a narrow win in 2016 during the Democratic primaries for Bernie Sanders, but that really was an iconic moment for his campaign, where it did keep him going longer than anyone expected. Here we have the polling right now having Biden well ahead, 58% to Bernie Sanders, 33%. Again, it's going to come down to that African-American vote that everyone's fighting for. The turnout at the last election was really poor among African-American voters. That's going to be what everyone thinks they can win. We're going to go live now to Whitney Wild at CNN in Washington, D.C. for the latest. Whitney, how important is it for Bernie Sanders to have a good result today, particularly in Michigan?
Well, it's critical, and it's the numbers that tell the story here. So 1,991 delegates, that is the number either Joe Biden or Bernie Sanders has to hit. And when you talk about these delegates up for grabs, 352 in mainland U.S. alone, that doesn't even consider the 13 Democrats abroad. So the total haul today could be as many as 365. The better Joe Biden does, the more difficult it is for Bernie Sanders to make up that gap. So Bernie Sanders facing really a very do-or-die moment here for a number of reasons. Michigan, hugely symbolic because, as you had mentioned, this is a Trump state as of 2016, and it is a place where Bernie Sanders won in 2016, even though he was the underdog going into that contest. So he wants to show voters that he can retain that magic that he had in 2016 again. And then further, just looking at the calendar, Michigan is so critically important for him because after today, looking forward, so many of these states who are going to the primaries are very heavily leaning toward Joe Biden. So again, the Midwest could be very much a make or break for Bernie Sanders tonight for a long list of reasons. He is taking no chances and has been campaigning very hard in that state. Back to you.
And Whitney, we understand both campaigns were holding rallies in Ohio, but they've been cancelled because of coronavirus fears.
This is a problem throughout the United States. People are very much adjusting their expectations, adjusting their plans, trying to avoid this coronavirus that, as you guys know, has just ravaged the world. The global fear and the global reality is something that people here in the U.S. are taking very, very seriously. If you could stay with me for a moment, I'll show you live video of Washington State, where ballot workers are required to wear gloves. That's just one of the precautions being taken here in the U.S. And then, as you mentioned, both Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders canceling rallies, saying that they are listening to the guidance from health officials. Annalise?
Whitney Wild, thank you.